it. Yeah. All right. We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Shine Insiders Live. I'm Heather Burgett, your host. And as you know, this is a show that we do with our community to spotlight all the incredible things that are happening when purpose-driven entrepreneurs, creatives, coaches, consultants step into higher visibility and also work a lot on their PR, which today our special guest is going to be able to give you a lot of insight into her journey and how that has gone for her in stepping into the media and the mainstream media spotlight. So with that, today I have Tara Troy. Welcome. Great to see you.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
Welcome. Yeah, we're so happy to have you here today to share your own journey, to be an inspiration. That's what I found most about this show. And the topics that we cover is that it really is inspiring to other people who might be where you were a few months back and see how quickly things can shift when you really step in and claim and own your expertise and shine it out there into the world in a brighter, bigger way. So I'll give you a quick intro and tell people a little bit about your background, and then we'll dive in to this conversation. Today, we're really going to get into visibility, social causes, and crowdfunding. So I know there are a lot of you in this community that are into the crowdfunding thing. We have even some experts in that area in our community. So hope you're tuning in and watching, and feel free to comment below if you're watching on the replay, #replay. Okay, so we have you, the lovely Tara Troy, who is an actor, award-winning filmmaker, and a graduate of the University of Georgia, Fordham University School of Law, and Columbia College, Chicago. Mm-hmm. And your last film, your first film, The Unclosed Door, was about a woman facing a crossroads of pursuing creativity or convention. And that film actually won Best Short Film at Milan International Filmmaker Festival. And it went on to many festivals, including Silicon Beach, Coronado Island, Toronto Shorts. And it's had a lot of acclaim. And now we're going to hear today about your new project. And you are very passionate about creating heartfelt, women-centric stories that explore the dilemma of choosing what you want versus what others want for you. And you feature a lot of powerful characters, especially women who fight to live their divine purpose. So beautiful. I love all of this.
Thank you.
So welcome. It's so great to see you today. Share a little bit more about this interesting background you have, because I know you went from as we have talked about, your fallback plan and to reigniting your passion for your creativity. So can you share a little bit about that journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have gone on exactly as we call it, a journey. And hearing you read a little bit about my bio, I'm like, oh my gosh, who is that? Is that me? That's fantastic. But yeah, I started as a lawyer. And one of the reasons I did that was because it was, kind of ingrained in me. I think it's ingrained in so many of us to kind of have some security, have something to fall back on. And really, I have to say, I lost my father at a young age. And after he passed away, it really became important to me to be able to take care of my family, support my family, be there for them. And the way I thought that was the solution was to, okay, you have to take the safe route. You have to do something that's secure. And I got my MBA and then I got my law degree, and I was like, okay, so I'm going to forge this path of, I don't want to say it was doing the right thing, but it felt like the right thing at the time. And I always tell the story of how I was in my Park Avenue corner office at midnight one night. I would think I was the only person there working away. And I happened to take a moment and look up and burst into tears. And I was like, I am miserable. This might feel like the right path, maybe for everyone else, but my body, my energy, my heart was screaming, this isn't exactly where you should be. And so from that moment on, I put myself on a path to figure out what it is what is my divine purpose, and to make sure I fulfill it.
Amazing.
It's taken me from New York to Chicago to LA, back to New York. But yes, that's my purpose.
That's one of those, it sounds like one of those breakdown to breakthrough moments where you had this revelation, this aha moment of really wanting to pursue your heart's desire. And so as a creative, can you share a little bit more about that? Like, where did this passion for the creativity start? And then what was your first step when you realized I want to get back into this?
Amazingly enough, once I thought about it, when I was growing up, I, played various instruments. I've always sang in the choir and that type of thing. I mean, I distinctly remember being in vacation Bible school. I'm not sure if anyone remembers that, but in the summers, I would go to vacation Bible school, and I was in, I don't know, third, fourth grade. And we had a presentation at the end of the summer. Each group had to do like some kind of presentation. And our group didn't have a presentation. So I went home that night and I wrote a play. I came back the next day. I signed, I rehearsed. We had a rehearsal. I directed the whole thing. And then that was a part of our class presentation. I thought everyone did that. I just thought, okay, no one else went home that day and did that. I decided to do it, but I didn't think it was any different than anyone else. So it wasn't as if I felt like this was kind of, I didn't recognize it as a special gift, or even, I just thought this is what I do. This is who I am. This is what I do. Everyone else does something like this too. So when I realized how miserable I was, and I took voice lessons as my first step. I took voice lessons, and my teacher, Eve Soto, shout out to Eve, she would always say, you're TV ready. Like, you have to do something with this. And I honestly was doing it in order to have something to do and really heal after a really bad breakup. But I listened to her, and she encouraged me to start auditioning for off-Broadway shows when I was, in New York before. And I auditioned for an off-Broadway, I think a community theater, rendition of Dreamgirls, and got cast as Michelle. And I remember doing those rehearsals, and it was really strange because everyone else were full-time creatives, but I was splitting my time between, I was going in the office, practicing law during the day, and then I'd jump on the train and go to Brooklyn and have this rehearsal and have all the rehearsals on the weekends. And everyone was like, what do you do during the day? And I'm like, oh, I'm a lawyer. They're like, what? It was this kind of like double life type of thing. But we did the performance, we did the rehearsals, we did the performances. And it was just like when I did the performance for Dreamgirls, I remembered when I was in the fourth grade and did a community theater back in Athens, Georgia, where I'm from, of Annie. And I was like, oh, this is that feeling again. Where have you been for oh so long? And I knew it was going to be a problem, a good problem, but I knew it was going to be a problem. So I took baby steps. I honestly didn't take steps. I was actually led, because it was just such a, it wasn't clear to me, but I was open enough to follow how I was being led. So I'm very grateful for that.
I love this. This is one of my favorite quotations is from Joseph Campbell, just follow your bliss. And it sounds like that's what you were really doing, is finding that feeling and that joy and that lit up thing again about life. And so you've gone down this path of diving headfirst all back into the creativity. You've had your first film. So now you have your debut directorial film coming up. And I know this is founded in like a very personal story. So can you tell us about this next project and, what that means to you?
Absolutely. I'm working on my second short film. It's entitled A Moment in Time. It's 100% dedicated to my father. Like I mentioned, I lost him years ago. And what happened was, the last time I saw my father alive, I couldn't tell him I loved him. And I didn't know why. But what that did to me was I internalized it. And I said, if you couldn't tell your father, who's one of the most important people in your life, who you love, that you love him, and now he's gone, then you just must be flawed. And there just must be something wrong with you. And I really lived within that label of myself. You're unlovable. You can't love for a really long time. And it changed me. And so this story is inspired about living that way, and then the realization, but really having the opportunity to have a conversation with someone you love so dearly that you didn't get to have before. And, I wrote it back in 2020, but because of different circumstances, here it is 2023, and we are launched a crowdfunding campaign to finance it and looking to produce it and shoot it here in New York City in October. But during that, I realized with the pandemic that so many other people lost people, and they didn't have a chance to have those goodbyes either. And so I really hope I offer this film to anyone who may be going through that, maybe as a solution, to feel better, to heal somewhat, and just to resonate, because I want people to understand that not having a moment, the ending moment you want, there's so many of us going through that, and you're not going through it alone.
Oh my gosh, it's such a powerful message and so resonant of our times right now with what everyone has been through in the past few years. And just that, I love that tapping into, regrets about maybe unsaid things or conversations people didn't get to have is truly tapping into kind of the zeitgeist of all the loss people have experienced in the last few years. So this really, I think, strikes an emotional chord. Even just seeing your video brought tears to my eyes on the crowdfunding page, because I know that personal story is so deep for so many people, and your story alone is just so powerful. So I think as of this morning, where are you at with the crowdfunding campaign? I want to get into, we're going to talk a little bit about the visibility and how that's helping with you getting your messages out there. But also, I just want to hear for our community, where are you at today, and how can we help you get to the next level and hump of your campaign?
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I love this. So as of this morning, we are 57% funded. We have about 2 weeks left in the campaign, and it would be tremendous to get to 60. At every level, at every 20% that you get contributions for, you feel that much closer. But it also allows me to continue to budget and produce the film the way I would love. And like you said, it's my directorial debut, and employ more people. So to get to 60 is the next big step. I know we're gonna get there. Yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and make sure. Oh, good. Nicole's here. She's doing it. She's dropping in the links. So we'll make sure these links are in the posts. Wherever you're watching this, we're actually live streaming to a bunch of platforms today. So we'll make sure we go back to all of those and that the links are all there. But that is on Seed and Spark, and the film is A Moment in Time. And yes, if we as a community, we know now is a difficult time for so many creatives. If you haven't done anything yet to support the creatives in our community, consider today helping a Moment in Time's campaign get to 60%, right? That's only 3% more that just today. I think it's easy. It would just be a few donations or contributions to the campaign that would get it over that next hump or hurdle to 60%. And the great news is, I think you mentioned earlier with Seed and Spark, you have to get to 80 to be funded. Some of the platforms it's 100%. Right. But on this one, you don't actually have that far to go to reach your goal. So let's see what we can do to help them get that over that next bump today to 60%. So check out the link below. And also, I know you give a lot of really cool things, from recognition in the film to all sorts of materials and gifts when people do contribute to the campaign.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to highlight in particular that you think is extra fun or special?
Well, I think we offer, of course, at a particular level, we will send you a link so you can actually view the film before anyone else does. The plan for the film is, after it's produced and done, we will put on the film festival circuit. And so what that does is, because of film festival requirements, doing public screenings of the short film could potentially take up to a year. But as an incentive, as a part of the community that's going to bring this film to life, you'll get a link so you can screen it as soon as it's hot off the presses.
Oh, beautiful. And I think the other layer and level that we want to talk about within the topics that you're covering in the work that you're doing with your very, social cause messaging that's oriented towards, supporting people through grief and loss, but also you have a very personal story with your own struggle and overcoming of cancer.
Yeah.
And once, but twice. So can you share more? And I know I see the shirt today. So can you share a little bit more about that struggle and your story and what you're doing to raise more awareness around that?
Absolutely. Shortly after, a few years after my father passed away, I was actually diagnosed with thyroid cancer. And I had the surgery, I had some rounds of radiation. And honestly, I was like, okay, this is, if you have to have a checkbox, I've checked my box off of cancer. Thank you very much. And fast forward, as I said before, I wrote this film in 2020. In 2021, I was kind of on the film festival circuit with my first short film. My plan was to film this in 2022, but in December of 2021, I was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. I didn't have any symptoms. Please, everyone, talk to your doctors and have checkups. I didn't have any symptoms, and thank goodness I was working with a functional nutritionist at the time, and she and I would just not stop. It was just constant. We were advocating for my health. So we would go from doctor to doctor, test to test, just to try to get some answers. And finally, someone suggested having a colonoscopy, which I had never thought of. And the gastroenterologist said, we found something. And we thought it was stage 2, but because it had spread already, it was a very small tumor, but it was aggressive and it spread already. Of chemotherapy. And what that taught me was, one, going through cancer is a very isolating thing. And when you are around people, when you feel well enough to be around people, you want people to be comfortable and you want to be you want people to feel as if you're your old self. But there's so much going on. And throughout the cancer treatment, I had friends and family and everyone around me, but I felt really incredibly isolated because I didn't want to make anyone uncomfortable. I didn't want anyone, I wanted people to be around, but I didn't want them to feel uncomfortable. And I even found that once I was in remission, I'm a year in remission now. It was still a thing that the celebration for the survival of it was muted because, again, who wants to talk about cancer? Who wants to talk about cancer treatment? And I just remember leaving, when I finished chemo, a lot of people get a chance to ring a bell, but my treatment. You should have the ability to celebrate this tremendous milestone in your life. And I decided to make a t-shirt, a very simple t-shirt that says Cancer Survivor. And it is to spread the message of celebration, survival, and also whenever I wear it, I think about my father who would have given anything to be able to wear it. So it's also a tribute to him too in his battle, because cancer warriors we are. And you deserve.
Oh my gosh. Can you tilt your camera a little or kind of so we can see a little bit of the.
Let's see if we can.
There you go. Cancer survivor. I love it.
Survivor. Absolutely. So it's it's an apparel line. It's t-shirts, it's racerbacks. Even I know pets are family members. So we even have hoodies and t-shirts. If you have a pet that's a cancer survivor. Survival deserves to be celebrated. I don't think we as a people celebrate ourselves enough. We deserve to be celebrated. You have gone through a journey. It's a triumph. Celebrate it as loud as necessary. You're here to do just that.
Such a beautiful, powerful message. And also really, I know you are wanting to honor those that did struggle and didn't survive. So it's, if you have survived it, it's also celebrating that, honors the people and brings awareness to those that didn't. So absolutely. Yeah, this is such a beautiful mission and purpose and message. So, with all that you're doing, so you have the crowdfunding campaign for the new film, you're launching the collection of the t-shirt line, the apparel line, which has all sorts of different types of shirts and sweatshirts, and pets, can even join in on wearing the cool apparel that you're launching. So with all of that, I mean, this is just the fact that you're here today and able to so succinctly share where you're at and your story. I know a big part of this journey has been you really owning your visibility and stepping deeper into all of it. So as someone that has gone through my Shine Online Mastermind program, and now currently we've even done some of our Done For You media amplifier packages. Can you share a little bit about where were you a few months back, maybe even, 6 to 12 months ago with the visibility? What did you think about that and PR? Were you thinking it was for later or other people? What was your kind of psychology around getting visible? And then what shifted with that?
I think, especially being an actor, you consider having visibility once you've made it, or because you're an A-lister or you have a project you're promoting. And honestly, I just thought to myself, well, who would be interested in my story? Like, who would be interested in my story? I don't have a big movie to push yet or anything like that. And what it really boiled down to was just being afraid, scared, and living small. That's really what it came down to. And through your mastermind group and also other things, I just realized that everyone has a story. Everyone has a story. No one should be living small. Fear is something that exists, but it definitely shouldn't be anything that's holding you back. And if you have a story, which we all do, to share it. Because the point is not maybe to get 1 million followers on Instagram or to, be on the Today Show every other week. It's to resonate and reach out and build a community and help someone and touch someone so they know they're not alone. That's the whole thing for me. It is sharing some PR stuff. I will say it's hugely vulnerable, but it's for the purpose of sharing your story to help someone, which is the same reason that I do storytelling and the way I write certain things. The stories that I write, the characters that I write are all about people who are fighting for their purpose in life. That is not easy. Sometimes that's messy. Sometimes it's scary. Sometimes it's vulnerable. Sometimes you go 1 step forward, 10 steps back, but it's real life. And we are in this, technology age of everything being supposedly so close, but we feel so very far. So if my story, my short film, my personal story, my apparel line, something can resonate and build a community and make one person feel as if they're not alone in their journey, then I've done my job. And so that is my focus. That's my focus when it comes to visibility.
It's so beautiful. And I know that, it was something where a lot of creatives, I hear this, business owners as well, that they do think it's for later, but then they realize, like you have as well, that this is actually about me telling my story. And I think initially you came in more to focus on the film, but then realized, in your own words, that I am the brand, right? That this is about me putting myself out there in a bigger way as the umbrella brand. And then the things and the projects that you have under all that you do, like those become pieces of the bigger brand and the story.
Do you remember that? You had that. I had that literally, like I had the Oprah aha moment where I was like, oh my gosh, Heather, I think I get it. You're right. And I understand that the story, I hope that the film resonates with people, but I think it resonates with people because it is a personal story and I'm willing to share it. And so that's what I want people to get to. Like, I want people to understand how fantastic my father was. I want people to understand that I understand about loss and grief, but also healing and moving forward. So it's about sharing your story, and your story can't be told by anyone else the way you can do it. So yeah, I am the brand.
I love that. I remember that aha moment. It was one of those big breakthroughs that that's what I love. That's what lights me up doing this work, is when people realize, this is what it is. And it is that inside out journey and those realizations and transformations that happen from a mindset and alignment perspective shift that then change everything. I know some of the things that you talked about were like feeling stuck, like feeling paralyzed, that, visibility actually did scare you. And it's normal. Like, that's a human, vulnerable thing to do, is to put yourself out there in a bigger way. And that can be very scary. And so then, stepping into the greater visibility, like focusing on the inner work, the inside journey. And the other piece that you had mentioned that I really wanted to highlight was you had the realization and understanding that this isn't about being boastful or conceited. When you talk about your story and you and what you're doing in the world, it is actually about helping others and being of service. And if people don't know you exist, right, how can you help them? How can you connect with them and bring your magic and miracles to the world, that things are, that people are actually waiting for right now? So it's been such an exciting thing to watch you go through that journey and get the higher visibility. And I know we have some cool articles. We can also drop those links as well, from LA Weekly to Film Daily to AP News, to really getting you out there into the spotlight. So can you share a little bit about like where are you at now? How does it feel to be sharing this story so publicly and really leaning into going bigger and brighter with everything?
The response that I've received from people has been really overwhelming, but overwhelming in a great way, because people are sharing their stories. They're like, someone emailed me and said, you know what, I didn't have the goodbye I wanted with my grandmother, and it's really affected me. So to hear you talk about this, I can truly resonate with you. I spoke to someone else and they were like, oh my gosh, that could have been me, the isolation that you felt because things didn't go your way and you didn't have the goodbye you wanted. So it's been really, don't get me wrong, still very scary. It's still very scary, but as you understand, you're reaching people, as I said before, it's not even about me, right? It's not about me. It's not about my ego or anything like that. It's really about finding, and it's starting to do that. So it's tremendously overwhelming. I am grateful for it. I truly understand the benefit and the power of it much more than I did before. I was like, oh, have articles written about you. That seems very big, very boastful, very conceited, but it's not about that at all. When you're coming from the place of, no, I'm sharing this in order to reach other people. There are people around the world, or, that I may never meet personally, but if they read this story and they're like, okay, I'm not alone. Again, I've done my job. And so it's a vehicle and a vessel for that. And that I'm grateful, very grateful.
So beautiful. I love all of this. Well, I am so excited that you were able to come out and share your story with us today about stepping into greater visibility, leaning into your social causes to raise awareness about important things you're passionate about, to bring those messages to the forefront of the conversation. And of course, this crowdfunding campaign, like this is a tactic and technique that so many creatives enlist when getting their projects off the ground. So just coming full circle today to remind everyone that we want to help you get to 60% today on your crowdfunding campaign. That's just 3% more, everyone. Feel free to click on the links we're dropping below to check out Tara's crowdfunding campaign on Seed and Spark. Also, if you're compelled to, if you've survived cancer, or someone that has, and you're compelled to support the mission, which I believe a portion of the proceeds go to, which organization is it?
The Colorectal Cancer Alliance, yes.
Yeah. So if you're compelled to, get involved with that as well, then we'll drop those links. The store is on Etsy to get those apparel, those cool t-shirts, sweatshirts, pet shirts, all the things you're launching for that for kids. So I think also, let's see. So we want to have people, also the easiest way probably to connect with you is if they just want to hop over to Instagram. And do you want to give them your handle?
Absolutely. I am Tara Troy.
Beautiful. So yeah, connect over. We'll drop that link as well. I think it's already in this post, but make sure that you connect with Tara over there. And we'll see all of you in this community as we continue to keep the conversation going around all of these topics. How to step into greater visibility, like that it is that inside out game for most people. And, that's even if you're the most confident, I have very high performing people in my community. Even if you're the most confident person in the world, there are things that do come up along the way. And, we hear people like Michelle Obama talk about their, imposter syndrome or feelings of being a fraud, or, that people are going to find them out. And so it's just very normal human behavior to have doubts, limiting beliefs come up around that. But the other piece really is just knowing the steps. So, as we teach you to fish, we teach you to get your own visibility, how to lean into doing your own PR, like through your writing, speaking, and the media. And then we also, of course, can help people with our done for you services as well, if you want to add those on or have us do some of that for you. So you've been just a shining example of this niche that I've looked to fill in the marketplace, which is that so many people didn't have access to this information and wanted to learn how to fish or get more PR visibility. But it typically is, not only cost prohibitive, but a whole mystical place for people is not understanding, like, how does this work? So after a couple decades of myself, like doing it for others, I was like, oh, this is this is where I'm meant to help in the world and bring people's powerful messages and movements to the forefront, but put this information into the hands of people that don't normally get it. So I'm just so excited that we've been able to work together and then continue to evolve the relationship. Do you have any thoughts or final words of wisdom today for anyone that maybe is thinking about how they would like to amp up their visibility or PR, but maybe they're just feeling a little stuck or paralyzed, maybe like you had been a little while back there?
Absolutely. Thank you, Heather, for you and your program and all of your staff and everything that you did. But for anyone out there who's potentially on the fence, do it. And the reason why I say do it is not only is your story worth it, but you're worth it. And there is someone out there who's just waiting to hear a nugget of your story, and that will do something to change their day, their life, their journey, their existence. Don't hold it, share it with the world. The world needs your story.
I love it. Yes, it's your time to shine. Thank you, Tara. It's so great to see you today. And we will see all of you here. We'll stay in touch in the community. Please, comment below. Tell us what you like most about what you heard today. What do you resonate with? Do you have questions? We'll come back and we'll check the feed and we'll, keep the conversation going here. And it's just so great to see you shining your light into the world, Tara. And you have such beautiful gifts that you're sharing and so much service that you're bringing to so many people that need to hear the messages and stories that you're bringing to light. So thank you. And we will stay in touch. Hopefully we'll have you back again soon.
Thank you. I'd love to come back. Thank you so much.
All right. Sending lots of love. Bye, everyone.